Hi, everyone. Jeremy Long with the Vegas Sports Daily, and I have a very special interview for you today, and that is with the man, the myth, the legend known as Carlos Silva, the CEO of World TeamTennis. Fight fans may remember him for being the CEO of Professional Fighters League, a World Series of Fighting for a number of years, and that whole transition there. I know I was a big fan. And of course, you played tennis at Boston College and played tennis, professionally for a short time and everything. So, but now you're doing your thing as the CEO of World TeamTennis. I want to thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy man.
Great, Jeremy. Great to be on, and look forward to telling you a little bit about what we did. It was a fun season, but it's always great to be on the show.
Well, you could not have scripted a better ending for your season than that incredible championship game between the New York Empire and the Chicago Smash. That final point, man, coming down to the super tiebreaker, the use of the tennis's, Hawkeye system. Well, it's what everyone's talking about. Can you kind of walk us through that amazing ending and really how it felt to watch that live and in person?
Yeah, there's so many components to it. I mean, there was the behind the scenes component because being on CBS, we knew we had a PGA Tour event starting at 3:00 Eastern. We were looking at our clocks. CBS, great partner. It wasn't like we weren't gonna get it in, but we were trying to do our best to also make it by 3:00. And at 2:15, it sure looked like that would happen. Chicago was up; they were definitely in control. But man, oh man, the women's doubles match was unbelievable. And, Coco and Nicole really fought back and figured out a way to get a break and, send it into, I think it was 2020 when they finally got the break and the hold, and they got to the super tiebreaker and the extended play. And then again, Chicago did a great job. They had made I think an interesting substitution in bringing Sloane Stephens in. Not that that's really risky when you're bringing in the 2017 U.S. Open champion, but it's still risky because you're changing the dynamic of the team on Chicago at that late moment. But it seemed to work, and Chicago seemed like they had it under control, and they were even up in the tiebreaker. And, just a couple of amazing points. And then, like you said, Jeremy, it came down to that, 6-all in the tiebreaker. First one to get to 7 wins the tiebreaker and then ultimately wins the match. So the entire season came down to 1 point. I think if I remember correctly, Sloane missed her first serve. She had to hit a second serve, and Coco just decided, you know what, I'm going for the home run ball. I'm going for the walk-off. And she just made a great forehand that looked like it might be out, but nobody heard Hawkeye yell out. And, you could see Sloane and the team sort of literally look down at the line thinking that the ball was out. And frankly, the ball was mostly out, but 3/4 of the ball was out, but 1/4 of that ball was in, according to Hawkeye and the final review of the video. And that was it. And New York Empire wins the championship. Luke Jensen, super excited, jumping up and down with all their teammates. Jack Sock and Melancar and Neil Skupski and it was incredible. It really was an incredible season. I mean, it almost hurt a little bit that someone had to lose that match, but right. We've all seen Michael Jordan, throw it down with 2 seconds left and walk off homers and, in the bottom of the 7th and winning a World Series. So it does happen. And you know what, that's what sport's all about, is rising to the occasion and having great moments, getting a knockout punch or getting a reversal and a submission and ending a fight and, or any of those things. And so, we were just blessed to take all that hard work and then have it come down to, I think, one of the greatest moments in sports that I had seen. I was down there on the court in the corner with Billie Jean and a couple of other of our staff. We're getting ready to go on the court for the trophy ceremony. I mean, it just kept happening and it was like frenetic, and Billie Jean was so excited, and just it was really a great moment. I tell you, it was exciting.
Man, speaking of a walk-off, a knockout punch, for all of this to happen, it comes down to, like you said, 3/4 of a ball, basically, for a point. And then at the same time, you kind of capture the sports world attention because you guys, I believe you set a 45-year high in viewership with like 550,000 plus viewers for the championship match. And to put that in perspective for people, I mean, it's just shy of ESPN's live coverage of the Australian Open. So a major tennis tournament, and you guys are right up there with it. To have that happen in the championship game at the end of the season, I mean, you've got to be over the moon with the results right now.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, look, we couldn't really have scripted it any better. What's great is that everyone was safe. I know everyone had a great time. I've gotten so many nice notes from so many players and coaches. Staff is all home now, safe. Everyone's on to their next stop. In fact, I was just on a video call and saw Sophia Kenin. She's back at home now, getting ready for, the tournaments that are coming up since she's the defending Australian Open champion. But yeah, big numbers. CBS was really great this year. But, all of our partners were. I mean, ESPN, the coverage we had on ESPN2 was amazing. The coverage that we had on Tennis Channel was great. We did 5 matches on Facebook, also great. All the numbers together, well over 2.5 million people in total watched all of our 66 matches live. But that last match on CBS to get, 550,000 viewers and also to peak at over 1 million during that super tiebreaker right before the PGA Tour event started, that last 15-minute window at over 1 million was really special. And so I think, job well done for, all of my staff and all the players to also stay safe.
Now, you guys can also hang your hat on something else. You guys administered, I think, somewhere in the neighborhood of over 800 COVID tests in your time there at Greenbrier, with a company cost of nearly $100,000, so out of your own pockets and everything, just to make sure the staff and trainers and athletes and everyone's safe. Can you describe what it means to you and WTT to kind of have the team sports world eyes on you and pass with flying colors, not one negative or positive COVID test?
Yeah, it's always funny because negative is such a good word right now. I've never been a negative person, but I love the word negative. Look, I mean, it was, I think there was some really great planning. The clinic at Greenbrier were great partners with us and gave us a lot of great advice. We had been on a lot of calls with the White House, with other leagues. I did a number of calls with other commissioners of the other major leagues, and everyone was very helpful in sharing all the things they did. And I think we were very diligent. We didn't. It wasn't easy. You sort of felt like a little bit on edge the entire time. Always like watching people. Always making sure people were being safe. Making sure none of the players were, near any of the fans or even when a player asked to get an autograph taken, they were really great about it and making sure they had, they were never taking a Sharpie from someone else and never taking a picture next to a fan, and wearing their masks as they came, to and from the stadium. So I think, look, everyone did a good job, maybe a little bit lucky because you always have to be a little lucky. But I think sometimes you make your own luck by working hard. And I know we certainly did that. And the great news is we did come out clean and I think, have sent the players on to their next stop, healthy. And, hopefully everyone else will continue to be diligent, and all of us will be diligent. I tweeted something last night where I left this Greenbrier bubble and I can't lie. I almost felt a little unsafe leaving the Greenbrier and coming back. I live outside of Washington, D.C. in Maryland. And, yesterday I stayed home all day. It's like I kind of got used to being in like this safe bubble. And so you start to kind of create that same safe bubble for you wherever you go. And, hopefully that those things won't be needed soon, but at least for the time being, that's what we have to keep doing.
Now, speaking of you and your organization were allowed to have about, 500 or so fans in attendance through all these safety measures and everything. but it's a 2,500 seat stadium, and you're doing all this testing. And like you said, all the professional leagues are now in bubble type atmospheres and everything. So a 3-week grind for staff and for athletes all in one place can almost get a little, sluggish and everything. As CEO, and as a very active CEO, I mean, you're very involved and very day to day. How do you keep the energy up amongst the staff and the athletes and their spirits high whenever they could just as easily be like, oh man, this again, I'm so tired of being here,
Yeah. I think it's a little bit like a long race. And I think, look, it's easy when we got there, everyone tested negative to come. Everyone tested negative once they got there, and everyone was excited. Everyone was excited to see each other. Everyone was excited to play. Even the staff, were excited to see each other because we had only seen each other on Zoom calls for months and months and months. So I think, that first week was easy. Everyone got in the rhythm. They were just excited to be working and playing and competing. I think where it was difficult was sort of that middle week where, the days were long. We had at least 3 matches a day. We had some days where we had 4 matches a day. First match on was 9. Second match was 12. Third match was 3. And the fourth match was at 7 o'clock. And, you had sort of shown up at work at 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you weren't eating dinner until, 10 o'clock, maybe even 11 o'clock that night. And then you had to go to sleep and wake up and, do it again the next day over and over and over again. And, many of us had been through Olympics, and it felt very much like the Olympics, which is, 18 days, and you just grind, all day, every day with events. And that's very much, this was like our little, tennis version of the Olympics. And so I think we had a little bit of training, but it wasn't easy. I think once we kind of got through that second week and, as I like to say, we started skiing downhill, you started to get a little bit of a glide. It was nice because you needed that, because that middle week was just really tough because you were like, wow, we're in day 10 and we still have 11 days to go, and it got tiring. But we just kept, we kept supporting each other and reminding each other, like, let's not make a mistake now. We've already gotten through, it's like running a marathon, and, you get to mile 22, you don't want to try and be a hero in mile 22 because you still got 4 miles to go. And so you don't start sprinting in mile 22. You just kind of stay the course. And that's, I think, how we approached it. And, the good news is we got through, and we got the 4 teams into the playoffs on that, second to last day on the end of July. And those 4 teams advanced. We had a great playoff on Saturday and a great playoff on Sunday. And, everyone kind of wrapped it up on Monday and went on their way. And, the bubble dissipated and, disappeared very quickly. But, hopefully everyone stays safe, and, we get on to, there's some women's, pro tennis happening now, and Lexington's coming up. And then we've got Cincinnati and in New York, and the US Open in New York. And, hopefully, fingers crossed, everyone stays safe, and we can see the US Open happen.
Now, I have to pivot real quick to our Vegas Rollers hometown team here, led, of course, by UNLV legend Tim Blankiron. Fairly new team in a fairly new sports town. I mean, we've had the Vegas Golden Knights for a couple of seasons. The Raiders are, well, I guess they're supposed to open this year. Right. In your opinion, what are a few of the things that the team and the league needs to do to kind of break through the suddenly very saturated sports market here in Las Vegas?
I think in 2019 the team did a great job. We had great attendance, better than I would have thought for World TeamTennis in a new town. I think Vegas really does. They love their sports, obviously, but they're also a big tennis town. And I think maybe I had a little bit of an advantage having been in the fight business with World Series of Fighting and then Professional Fighters League. Having spent a lot of time in Vegas, I lived in Vegas part-time out there with Ray Sefo and the rest of my team in Vegas. So I knew the landscape, but I think I also understood the consumer in Vegas and was able to help out a bit. I mean, certainly having Tim, having been in Vegas since his UNLV days, and having Sally Dewhurst, our general manager, who also has been in Vegas for 20 years and knows the event business so well. I think it gave a kickstart to the team. The Orleans was also a great partner. So 2019 was great. The playoffs were outstanding in Vegas in 2019. I think it gave us a lot of insight into how to get through the pandemic this year, because we had already brought those 4 teams together for a playoff run in Vegas last year. It was almost a great dry run for what happened this year with the pandemic. I just think you got to keep growing it. I think we grew World Team Tennis this year with our audience. I think that'll benefit all the teams. We certainly would have loved to see the Bryant brothers and Sam and Monica and ultimately Isla, who came in, and Asia and everyone on the team make the playoffs. But unfortunately, they came up a little short. But I know they're hungry and they want to make it there next year. It's not easy to make the playoffs. The list of players,
right?
It used to be that the Bryant brothers, were the only guys with so many Grand Slams. But it was amazing this year. Every time I walked down to the center court at the Greenbrier, there was like Grand Slam trophies like strewn about the court. I mean, it was like you couldn't even get out and walk around. And and we added some players towards the end, like Bethany Maddox-Sands and Rajiv, and again, it's like more Grand Slam trophies there too, and
right.
And so I think it was tough, but I know they gave it a real run in the last couple matches and just came up short, missing the cut line.
Now, like you said, World Team Tennis was, with your partner CBS and the matches being everywhere. It seemed like the league embraced digital more than ever before. I know I caught a couple of matches on Facebook and on the CBS app and everything that you guys are doing. Is this kind of a precursor to the future of World Team Tennis? And what were, I guess, some of your biggest takeaways from this incredibly unusual season?
I've always been a big believer in like the hybrid approach to how things, are moving. Everyone probably 10 years ago was like, oh, it's all going to be digital and there's not going to be anything left. And
right.
It just never works that way. And, even if you look at the world, there's still a great place for radio. There's a great place for cable. There's a great place for broadcast. There's a great, spot for over the top and subscription services. They're all muddled together, but
right.
You still can't beat, having broadcast and having, top tier cable, providers. People, still do that. And more and more. And so, but yet you got to combine it with, CBS All Access, ESPN Plus. We were broadcast with Tennis Channel around the world in Austria and Switzerland and Germany with their new Tennis Channel Plus product. So it's just a mix of how do you get out there and you can capture, from a, young 10 and 15 and 18-year-olds, up to, people in their 50s, 60s, 70s, wherever they want to watch. And you got to hit them all. For us, it was about growing the audience. So I thought it was a great mix. I think as we enter our distribution rights here in 21, 22, 23, well, look, we've got great partners. Now it's a question of how do we continue to build the audience with those partners? And so that's right. Sort of on the short list to get to now that we're done with the 2020 season.
Well, there you go. Carlos Silva, CEO of World Team Tennis. Thank you so much. Final question though. Of course, we mentioned earlier, you were the CEO of Professional Fighters League, World Series of Fighting. One day we're going to have you back to find out how that pivot works. You go from punching people in the face to tennis. So that's quite the story, I'm sure. But you know what? The question I'm sure everyone's asking is, are we going to see Carlos Silva on the court sometime and, shed the CEO title, maybe get out there against someone like maybe Venus Williams or something like that? We got to see it, man.
I'd love to. I got lucky and I had a couple good workout sessions while we were at the Greenbrier, and got to hit some balls with Jack and Neil a couple of mornings, which was a lot of fun. I always am hitting balls with Luke, which is such a pleasure because we just have fun and we mostly just talk the whole time. And Mark Lucero, who's one of our on-air hosts, who also played at Boston College, we got to bang some balls around too. So it's just good staying in shape and still getting a chance to be around the tennis court. But I still love to hit balls. I don't get to do it as much as I'd like, but it's okay. I can still get out there and bang it around.
Hey, maybe we'll see sometime in the future, maybe 2022, maybe maybe a full contact World Team Tennis, kind of mix the two worlds, PFL and WTT. Hey, are you telling me you wouldn't pay money to see Billie Jean King smack the crap out of somebody? I would put down money to see that. Carlos, thank you so much for your time. I know you're super busy, but thank you so much for your time, and congratulations again on an incredible season, and wish you nothing but success in the future.
Thanks, Jeremy. Great talking to you. Talk soon.